All right, all right, all right. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Thank you so much for tuning in to RareFUD Radio, episode 5. And I cannot believe we are already on episode 5. Kind of crazy if you think about it. We just started a couple weeks ago, but time is flying by. We thank you, as always, for tuning in. Joined with me today are my co-hosts. We got Dorian up first. Dorian, how
Yo,
you doing
yo.
today?
Hey, man, every day's a holiday, dog. Happy to be on episode 5. I can't believe, we're already here. Next thing you know, we'll be on 100, and we need to really celebrate then.
That's
But
right.
I'm doing great, man.
That's right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And of course, as always, we are joined by our third co-host, Joe Soul. Joe, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing just peachy, brother. Doing peachy.
Just
Doing
peachy.
peachy.
Man, we actually have some stuff to talk about today, which is always
Yeah.
exciting. Market has been moving. We are back at 81,000 Solana volume on Magic Eden over the past 24
crazy.
hours. Exchange.art is doing numbers. I haven't checked the yaw numbers, but I'm sure they're up there. It does feel like we're getting a little bit more positive sentiment back into the market, but it could be just because ABC minted and I only want to call it minted, right? Because they were just directly listed on Magic Eden itself for 1.23 Sol, if I read the tweet right from HGE. But we can talk about that in a second. Guys, what's your thoughts on the market right now? How are we doing? We'll go with Dorian first.
Yeah, man. It's great to see volume being back up. I think it's still temporary. I don't think the macro conditions really facilitate any type of crazy price action in the near future. So I think we'll continue to see these spikes of volume happen on the market, due to unsuspecting mints, because people are always waiting on sidelines for that one hype thing to ape into. And today it happened to be ABC. Everybody's still waiting around for youth. So I think we'll see these continuous spikes throughout the bear market.
Absolutely. Joe, what you been up to? I know you've been taking profits and making some great plays. What's your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. I mean, anytime you can play the bear market just like any other market, bull, bear. Just know that there'll be ebbs and flows within that, eventual downtrend. And that's what I've been doing, just buying, the quick fear and then selling the quick pumps and then just doing the range play right now until we really figure out what we're doing. We're stuck in this liquidity pocket from 33 to 44-ish. That whole area is just chop city right now. And waiting for old man BTC, really, But other than that, I'm having fun in NFTs, man. I'm having a lot of fun in one-of-ones. I think it gives a lot of us degens time to actually play around. And we're not so worried about missing every bullish pump or worrying about grinding for every whitelist or this or that. We have some time to really just settle down and do what we love. So, yeah, I'm excited right now.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and Solana's at just north of 35 right now, sitting below my magic line that has done pretty well for me, where we are in buy territory for me. If I was DCAing more, I personally am not. I'm still waiting on the sidelines to see. I've already pretty much allocated a good bit of sideline capital already. My average entry was $33. So if it goes lower than 25, that's when I'm mega scooping. That's kind of what I'm waiting for if we do break that. But if not, no worries. I got sideline capital right now, and I do believe that cash is king in this macro environment. But having Solana on the side, having your spot positions, definitely a good way to go. As always, before we get into the show, this is not financial advice. Please do your own research on everything we say in this show. But nonetheless, we do have some tidbits for you. We're going to jump into it, though. We do have great market volume. Like Dorian said, I think it is just kind of a following, wherever the hype's going. HG did release Abracadabra or ABC, where it is just simply kids drawings. That's it. That's all it is. They were listed at 1.23 on Magic Eden. I don't even think they were minted. There's no mints, no launch pads, no bots, no nothing. It's just you straight up bought it from Magic Eden. Interesting approach. I kind of like that, where you can sweep, so I'm not sure if it's like getting rid of bots or anything like that, and you're giving 2% to Magic Eden on top of it, but it's a curious approach. There's no Discord, no Twitter, no nothing, and we are looking at 40,000 Solana volume for it, and that includes 0% royalties. So Joe, I know you took a position on ABC. It's doing pretty well if you got in at 1.3. How's it looking right now?
Yeah, it's looking great. I took some profits at 4, I think, 3-ish, 4, and I'm still holding on a few. Anytime we see someone that's massive in the space come with something that's drops a collection that's different, that hasn't been done before, during a time like this where people do have liquidity saved up, but they're just bored and they don't really feel the need to really spend it or use it. They see something like this, it turns into Twitter, FOMO rally. People are FOMOing in at this point. A lot of wallets accumulated from that 1.23 to 1.6. So we'll see some selling now. But you never know with HGE, man. And he has a lot of Ethereum friends, and they buy some and they keep the volume high. That's going to create retail FOMO again. So, I mean, we could see a run to double digits possibly here. But right now it's just straight community, right? It's people literally buying because they think they're going to make money, honestly. I don't think anyone's buying this because they love it. And they're like, oh, this is my PFP or this is my childhood nostalgia right here. Personally, I think people are just buying to make some money at this point. So.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah,
it's Dorian. Right. It's a different thing. We haven't seen it before. It's actually, it brings some conversation to royalties, right? And aside from marketplace, just how he did it, right? Just minted him himself and then listed him for said unit price, and you kind of can do your overhead like a business there, right? You know exactly how much you're putting out, how much you're making, and it's more of a set profit margin. So yeah, there's some positives to it, some negatives, but all in all, I think it brings volume and conversation to Solana. So I'm in for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Dorian, what are your thoughts on ABC? What's going on here?
Oh man, I besides like, I know it doesn't really have a Twitter account or Discord. So it's like, for me, it's like, I just think it's a great trading opportunity. I don't foresee this thing being any type of long-term hold. I just think once again, everybody's been trying to wait for something exciting to happen. And this was the first thing that came along prior to Utes. So everybody's like, oh man, things are pumping. Prime as you said, people, degens are going to degen. So it's like, this has been waiting for an opportunity. Here it is. And I put out a tweet earlier. I woke up and I saw these things at 2.3 after they pumped from I think 0.9 or some pretty low price, man. So it was already like a 2x at least from that point. So it's like, while you could participate in it and brought it at 2.3, I still think there's other plays on the market that you could have that are less risky than picking up one of these. Even now, and I'm like, I still hold true. It's like picking up this thing at 3 or 4 is not good in my opinion. I'm like, do you really think it's going to go to 8 after it's already pumped like a 3x? Like, come on. So it's like the people buying this now are really hoping for that additional liquidity to come in to pump it a little bit more so they can trade and take profit as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and share the chart real quick, brought to you by Hello Moon, as we all know and love. We do love Hello Moon. They are not a sponsor of the show. We just absolutely love the free analytics here. But in typical Solana fashion, starts out at 1.23 and rises up and then undercutting. Undercut city right there. That is, I think that's hilarious to me on something that is literally no roadmap, no nothing, no Twitter, no royalties, no nothing. We see undercutters. So just keep in mind when it comes to these mints, this is pretty much the chart that I explain to everybody when it comes to mints, unless it is just like an impeccable project. You will almost always see a good re-entry at some point. If you just wait and you're patient and you learn to control emotion, if you can conquer that right after mint sort of FOMO that we see, and you can remain, emotions in check, then I think you always have a good opportunity. And we see it here. This is about as clean of a chart as you want to see from a mint, just running up. And then I'm not sure what happened here. Maybe somebody paper-handed their ABC, but this is about what we expect. I expect it to go lower from here. 4 seems like the top. Congrats, Joe. It looks like it was about 4.35 was the top, or thereabout. And that sounds about it. I mean, it's a 10K supply. My question for this project, and maybe you guys have some more insight on it, but did that 1.23 SOL for each of these go straight into HGE's pocket? Did he pay an artist? I think it was made by a kid, obviously, but I'm not sure what happened there. Joe, maybe you have some insight here.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I didn't look into. Are you getting feedback on your end?
Nope.
Okay. I didn't look into it much. To be honest, background on the project itself. To be honest, there's a lot of trades. They don't seem to go too quickly. This could be a project that was in the works for a little bit. I'm not sure though what his motives are behind this. I know he does bring a lot of liquidity to a lot of projects with Sweep initially, and if it's a project, he'll bring liquidity. And so, I mean, it's not a full negative, but I'd like to know what his overall motives are behind that project for sure. Know where that liquidity is going.
Yeah, I would too, because that's, if you calculate it out, obviously that's 1,100. Wait, yeah, no, it's 10,200, 12,300 soul. Oh my goodness, my brain is not working today, but that's a lot of soul, right? I mean, that is literally, I mean, a 1.23 mint for nothing. It makes it a good trading opportunity for sure. But other than that, like, are we not going to talk about where these funds are going? Dorian, do you know anything about where these funds are going?
I don't know exactly where the funds are going, but I going to 18 pockets. I don't know what's going after that. But regardless of if they did go to his pocket, I don't think that's an issue too. Because like he didn't promise out any roadmap or anything, so I don't think it's an issue.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those things, and it reminds me so much of when we had the thing with Solstice, right? When Solstice released Goofy Gorilla Gang or whatever, he basically said it's unruggable because there's no roadmap or anything like that. For me, that is kind of one of those things where, it, like, yeah, you can say it's unruggable and that, nothing was harmed here, but you're still taking Solana from the ecosystem. So where it is a good trading opportunity, especially in a market that seems very lulled and everything like that, it does raise the question, like, man, there's a lot of soul that just was taken from the market. Where is that going? Whose pockets is that lining? So I have questions for that.
Do you guys hear echo from me?
No.
Okay. So my opinion on this is different, man. It's like AG didn't force anybody to buy into this. So I don't see an issue with him doing whatever he wants with the soul. It's like we always say, X project sucks liquidity out of the ecosystem, but no project with each individual's house and like, buy my project. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it. It is not a question of, I always say buyer beware, right? And it's something we say in real estate. It's something we say just about in any market, right? You buyer beware. And that's okay. Like, I get it. I'm just very curious on what the motives were behind the project. 1.23 soul seems steep for a child's drawing with no roadmap or anything like that. But if people are willing to pay for it, the market's always right. So, nonetheless, there was 0% royalties on that. And that kind of brings us up to our next point. And Dorian brought it to us, our attention. Zeneca 3.3. Many people, if you don't know who he is, he's a prominent ETH figure. Does do overpriced JPEGs, which is a great podcast. He's on there pretty frequently. And I would say he had a really good point as far as his Substack, where he basically came out and said, here's the thing you need to know about 0% royalties. Dorian, I know you read it in great detail. Do you want to break it down for the rest of the audience?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and break it down real quick. So once again, just shout outs to him. This article is great because the 0% royalties have been a huge ongoing debate on the Solana side since y'all was released their marketplace. So one of the key takeaways from there is like, hey, Zeneca argues that we can't force, like, the market's going to trend towards 0% royalties on bigger collections because people who purchase bigger collections are most of the time picking them up for trading. So while on the other hand, he's not saying we should get rid of these royalties in all aspects, while on the one side, many people are willing to pay these creators royalties on an individual basis. Even if they do OTC, they're willing to take these royalties and provide it back to the artists who created them. So what he's saying is that if we really want to continue royalties, we kind of need to build that within the culture of the project. And I think Frank has done a great job of that. While there are D guys that do OTC, Joe said a couple episodes ago that regardless if he uses whatever marketplace, he's going to set royalties because he wants the team to contribute, to thank the team for all the work that they've done. So I think it's a part of like just building in the culture, that kind of tipping culture, how we have in the States of like, 15, 20% regardless. I think that's what we project founders need to do in order to continue royalties for their project. And also he said that there's no way to like actually enforce it through coding, because if it could be done, they would have already implemented it. So what marketplaces do is honor that project's royalties that they state.
Right. It is a really good article. Joe, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but do you have any opinions on Zeneka's take on 0% royalties and where the market's heading?
Dorian did it beautifully. I don't have anything to add. That was great. It was a great summary.
There you go. I would also agree with that. I think it's going to be very hard for people to install, because that's almost like a moral, right? Like, hey, morally speaking, it is good to add royalties, right? Like, and it is. From me, I love when a project's actually doing something. I want to give them money. Thank you for allowing me to make profit. And here you go. Here's a percentage of what I took, and we're all happy here, right? But yeah, go ahead.
One of the other key points in his article that I didn't really consider before was talking about the misalignment of incentives that secondary royalties do bring. Instead of really looking out for the best interest in a project, bad project founders out there have more interest in causing volatility of the floor price because they make more money by doing something sustainable that will only like help the floor price. So they could intentionally put out bad announcements to drive floor price down, because they don't care if floor price goes down. All that matters to them is trading volume. So if you have extreme volatility, it only benefits them, which is a misalignment of incentives from holders.
Yeah, no, and it was a really good point, because it's something I've always believed in. I think OK Bears was like my one thing that you could definitely point to, where it's like, dude, you didn't care. I mean, DeFi Pirates is another one too that, you know, up and down, they're just riding the hype, and really they rode the hype up. They got all the way to what, like 10 SOL a piece at one point?
It was pretty high. I think at least 7.
Yeah, I know for a fact it was 7. And then, what's it called? They just rode down. But the thing is, they did 130K in SOL volume. You know what I mean? So, like, what do they care if they just crashed out? And I know, you know, that there's some interesting stuff going on behind the scenes there. But OK Bears would be like my piece de resistance, right? Like that is the prime example for me where, dude, they didn't have to deliver anything. They have a war chest, and everybody keeps talking about like, bro, they got the war chest. You better watch out. Like, yeah, they do, but what says they have to do anything with the project? Like, there's no social contract, or I mean, there's a social contract. It's like, hey, please, you know, give
Don't
us.
run me.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what we're hoping for, and nobody signed that shit, you know. And so I would say that it's just, I see his point when it comes to churn. I think that it's a very good point. I would say that we have to work as people who are informed in Web3 to identify the projects that do deserve royalties and don't deserve royalties, right? I think that's full stop. And I do love the fact that we should be working towards having that liberty to where we say, hey, we should have that choice to give royalties back. Because I will always give it. I will give it to one-on-one artists. I will give it to projects that are doing stuff, right? Full stop. That's what I'm always going to do. But there's always going to be that case where it's like, on the flip side, there's people, and it's very easy to morally get away with something where it's like, hey, I know the project's doing something, but I want to keep that 30 SOL profit on this dead god I just sold, right? You know, that's a lot of money to me. I'm going to take that. And it's much easier to do when you're behind a screen. We see it a lot on Twitter where, you know, these people act all big and bad. And if you saw them in real life, you would be like, there's no shot you were saying exactly what you just tweeted. So it's a moral dilemma, and it's very hard to do because Web3 is so like desensitized from the actual human itself. We're all just cartoon characters behind a screen, you know, and that's why I like streaming, right? I want to build authenticity in the space, and I think it's something moving forward. But it was a really good article. I encourage everybody to go read it. After the show's done, I will go ahead and put the link down in the description below. But I definitely think it's worth talking about. Nonetheless, do we have any points before we move on real quick? Nope. Good. Man. Okay. Awesome. I just want to make sure if there was any closing remarks, but we did mention OK Bears. Now, one thing I will say I'm kind of actually bullish on is that they're hiring within the community. I don't know if you guys saw, but they finally brought on Nate Rivers and company that are holders that are, you know, have their own specific role carved out for them. And obviously, Nate is a very polarizing figure. If you haven't talked to him or heard him in spaces, he has very polarizing comments on a lot of projects. Love him or hate him, I love the fact that they are hiring within their community and saying like, hey, I don't want to say it's throwing in the towel, but they're like, we need to change something. Obviously, what we have done is not moving the project forward. in the way the community wants to. So let's go ahead and make it a community project. Joe, have you seen anything about the community as far as their community hires? And do you think it's bullish or bearish?
I mean, it's bullish that they're trying anything different than what they were doing. But I mean, like, that's great. Is that for marketing, PR? Like, what's happening on the back end dev side? Like, what's really being built? That's great. It's one piece of the puzzle. But I'd like to see an infrastructure, a roadmap showing, you know what, founders, like, because that's just my thing. Like, how are they even rolling out these coins, these gold coins? Like, how are they doing it systematically? What's the infrastructures that they're using? I want to know, like, where they're getting the gold from. How are they printing these coins? Like, there's just so much to, like, like, I feel like they're just throwing, like, let's just pick one thing, let's fix that, let's go to the next thing. Like, it's great, it's bullish to me that they're doing something for sure, but I think there's a lot of tangents to close before they open up a new can of worms.
Absolutely. No, I think you're on the right track. It really is hard to discern whether it's a virtue signaling thing or they're actually trying to move the needle forward. Dorian, what's your opinion on it?
So regarding Nate's takes, I haven't really listened to Nate that much, but like I try to give a lot of leeway to people who have a lot of followers on Twitter Spaces, because people follow them because they do controversial takes. So it's hard for me to like really gauge their true opinion, because it's in their interest to say the most controversial thing to get more traction, and that's why people follow them, for entertainment value. So I don't really like to judge influencers too harshly unless I like talk to them personally. But having someone like him who does have a large following and who is super bullish on the project, I think it's a net positive. He's been a huge supporter of OK Bears, and honestly, it's like with OK Bears, it's like it's good that they're recognizing their flaws, and I think the bottom's kind of in for them. I don't like everybody who held all the way from 200 until now probably is not going anywhere. So it's like I think they can only go up from this point. And it sounds kind of like bad to say, but clearly, like, they don't really need to execute to keep their community. It's like, I think the going back to what Saigo has been like kind of brought it up, is like weaponizing anticipation. If they nail that, I think they'll be successful as anything. Like, they don't necessarily have to ever deliver gold. They can honestly like change their plans and be like, hey, this coin is going to be used for X, Y, and Z that you don't know about yet. And I think people will be perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, Saigo said it, and ever since I've been really bullish on this. Not bullish. I would like to say I know what works in Web3 right now. I hope, you know, eventually we actually start reacting positively to actual events that happen. But we see it time and time again. It's the weaponized anticipation that like reels people into the project. And then as soon as it drops, we saw it kind of something similar with Lizards. Lizards just recently announced their deviates, actually executed on it. I didn't see a peep about it. I saw floor price go down. The art looks pretty good. I like it, but you know, dude, they have such an uphill battle going on with it. And I think it's one thing that kind of brings us into our next point with Kets. Kets has that weaponized anticipation of when are mutations coming, or when's enlightenment coming, or wherever you want to call it. Degen Dojo doing the same thing with descending is what it's called. I think they're descending, and that's their art rework. Whatever you have with it. I think art rework is bullish to a sense. Like, hey, you're taking feedback from the community, and that's great. And you're like, hey, we want to align more with what community values are and what they think our artwork should look like. But when you're just doing it to do it and hoping that we get some churn there, that kind of goes back to our Zeneca point, right? Where, hey, we just want to see some volume, right? We don't care if it goes up and down. They'll ride up until we actually release the artwork, and then right back down, and we make all that money in royalties. So it's hard. It's really hard to execute on something that you put so much anticipation behind, and then almost every single time it falls flat on its face. So that being said, we do have Kets on Craig, and we did have some controversy when Pablo came out as Indian. He's from his Indian heritage, and I have mixed feelings. One, obviously, we abhor any sort of racism or anything like that. There was some remarks where it's like, dude, I floored it because he's Indian. I'm like, that's not okay. Like, that's one of the things about Web3 is like, bro, it's a level playing field. Like, it's the beauty of it. We're all just cartoon characters just trying to make our way here. But it's more or less on the flip side. Some people are saying, like, you know, he came across as Latino. He is using Latino culture within the project. And so, you know, he kind of came across as Latino and now he's Indian. It's like, well, that seems deceptive to me. I can kind of get that point. But other people are, you know, they're just saying like they were used. They thought that he had that Rick and Morty connection as well. So Dorian, what are your thoughts on everything that transpired with Kets? It seems that they've rebounded a pretty good bit, but go ahead.
I think a lot of this is like, he could have been, I think his race it doesn't really play a huge factor. And like some people don't know how to construct sentences the best and like don't properly convey what they want to say. So when somebody tweets, oh, he's Indian, I don't necessarily like, they shouldn't have tweeted that, don't get me wrong. But I think they were more so disappointed that he wasn't what they thought he was some connection to Rick and Morty. And when you build up speculation like that, you're only setting yourself up for failure. He could have been Japanese, he could have been American guy, it could have been anything. And I still think the community would have been like, oh man, like we created this huge grandiose narrative, like connection with Rick and Morty, we drew the lines, Pablo, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, it's like all that anticipation finally came back to bite him in the butt when like it was finally revealed what it was. I still think that the project has a lot of life in it. The community is super, super strong. And if they are releasing a new collection, I'm still excited to see what's coming for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe, what do you think about all this mystery that's surrounding some of these projects where, you know, we finally get some details just like Kets and all of a sudden everybody turns bearish? Like, what were you doing the past, 3 months or so?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, a lot of these projects after their initial utility, it's just all speculation and hype. And how can you keep that going? And yeah, the mystique of who's Pablo. I mean, Pablo. That's like that was the Cat's day, right? I'm Pablo. Everyone's interchangeable. You don't want to give a direct character to that guy because that's your whole paradigm of your business at that point. I'm still of the game. Like, I don't think initially, I mean, it's memed because he was an Indian, but of Indian descent. But I think a lot of people sold that I know is because they were waiting for like a monumental event to happen when he revealed himself. And there really wasn't anything till a few days later. They have the first OG merch that's rolling out, which is really cool and stuff. But I just think it was the shock value of we're gonna meet who it is, regardless of his race. Let's get some monumental news here for our community. I held from 70 down, and so I think that had a little bit to play with. And then Web3, there's some terrible people out here that just love to push negativity because, like you said, we're cartoon characters. I'm not doxxed, right? I can say anything I want and walk away and you guys would never see me again. So I just think it shows the morals and values of people more than anything. And I think there's two schools of thought, right? There's some people that sold because of racism and they should probably go hurt themselves. And then there's people that sold because they weren't given what they thought they deserved from a business paradigm aspect. So I think there's the two schools of thoughts with that.
Yep. Well said, man. Agreed.
Yeah. It's one of those things that, again, there was no promise with Kets. I didn't see anything like major. The only thing I've really seen that they said is coming at some point is the mutations or whatever they're calling it, right? Other than that, Kets is just a community project. So one of those things that when you buy in, you're buying into the community. And when the community turns south like that, which is a very fickle thing, it ruins a lot of vibes for a lot of people. So I'm confident. I know they got some great people in there. Easy has a Ket. Sneaky is also awesome. A great guy on Twitter. Currylicious. There's a ton of people. Speaking of people and people that we hold in high esteem, what's your guys' take on the Ute list so far? For me, it's been a great experience. I love watching other people win, especially anything from like the biggest accounts ever. They got a Manchester United player into the Utes program or Ute scholarship, all the way down to one of my favorite artists who I gave a shout out a while back, Takumi, Saint Toku on Twitter. He had like 40 followers and got in. I think it was mainly because of he did a Utes with a custom background and it's sweet, but he has really good artwork. Dorian, what's your experience so far?
I like the Ute list a lot. It's like super positive to like see people in your community that who you interact with on a daily basis get these spots. So that's awesome. But like, man, this is gonna be a high quality community, dog. Like, I was talking to Shake the other day, and I was like, it's like, is like Utes going to surpass D-Gods? Like, like how can you compete with that? Like, don't get me wrong, D-Gods is awesome, but like you're really curating like some top tier people within Utes, man. And like, this is going to be a diamond hand community, so it's like I'm like saving all my liquidity. So like if I don't get a Ute list after the FOMO and hype dies down a little bit, I'm trying to scoop up one, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe, as a dead god, how's your experience been within the community? Has there been hype within the Discord or anything like that? What's the experience from the inside?
Oh yeah, man, we love it. It's super amazing to see the spectrum of people getting Ute listed from like 30 followers to 300,000 followers. And it just goes to show that like we love curating things, even with Frank and then all the sub DAOs. I mean, DGOD holders ourselves, we really want to welcome more people and bring more people into the space. I think that's really, there's a lot of like Giga Chads or whatever, but at the core, we love Solana and we want people to be in this ecosystem thriving with us. So to bring them into our family through Uteless is going to be insane. But I think some alpha, this is pure speculation from me, but I do believe that there's going to be a specific interface for dead god owners that go to mint their Ute through XNFT. This is my speculation. We'll see what happens. But with those, I talk to people that are smarter than me. And with that capability comes the abilities to maybe pick your traits or maybe match traits or something like that. So I do think there's going to be some really cool utility for dead gods because he hasn't mentioned anything yet, right? So that incentivization, I think, is going to come near closer to mint time. So I think there's avenues for people that aren't in the ecosystem, and there's really cool avenues for people that are in the ecosystem to look forward to during Utes, right? It's exciting for both parties. So I think that's what, the 2 + 2 = 6 synergistic effect is happening here. So for sure.
Yeah. No, it's been so much fun watching other people. I try to go through at least once a day and just scroll through and see like, hey, which homies got Ute listed? Like this is gonna be so much fun, and just shouting out everybody that I follow and trying to just bringing positivity back to my timeline, which for me is so refreshing. Honestly, I forgot after the past 2 months or so of the real bear market we've seen. It's refreshing to see people winning and
For
getting
sure.
dubs and like being uplifted by the community. It's one of the things that attracted me to Web3 and I think is worth moving forward. So, I love the fact that they are curating a community. Like you said, Dorian, it is high quality, dude. I'm seeing people of all spectrums get in where if like it's so funny to see these 40 follower accounts get in because you look at them and these dudes are grinding, dude. Like I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, you deserve more followers. So just seeing like the social engineering behind it, I'm very curious to see, like Joe said, what the synergy is going to be because they thought about this already with dead gods, with dust and Utes all bringing it together is going to be really fun to see. I hope Dorian, you get Ute listed as well.
Same to you, man.
We'll see what happens. Right now, I'm like, dude, I'm cheering on the homies, but after seeing all the people that have gotten accepted, I want in. I'm not afraid to say it.
You ain't never lied, dog. I want in too. Yo, talk to Frank, dog. Hook us up, man.
I know. At this point, I'm like, man, I've seen a lot of cool people I want to talk to. So, no, seriously, it is really fun to watch. But also speaking of the Dead Gods community, which has pumped out a lot of good projects recently, Blocksmith Labs is probably one of the most notable that's come within the Dead Gods community and is really propped up with Bifrost. We saw Sentries go below mint and then go back up to like 4. But another one that has given me really good vibes lately is Vandals. Now, I'm not going to lie. There's mixed opinions on their art rework. So we said that art rework is probably one of the metas that we're seeing right now. I kind of like it. I think it's clean. I know a lot of people are saying, this Dead Gods, revitalized and stuff like that. There's a lot of negative feedback, but there's also people that are like, yo, some of these are sick. I really like the Pyro skin. I'll see if I can find it on the timeline. But Dorian, talk to me a little bit. Have you seen the Vandals art rework, and what do you think about it?
I mean, I've seen it, man. And I'm not a huge fan of it. It's fine, but also it's like deviates so far from their initial design, it kind of throws me off. So like when people go through a hard rework, you kind of stay within the realm of your first collection. This is like far right from it.
Yeah, for sure. I understand that. I still think this kind of ties in. We've been saying this all the time that we're going into a humanoid kind of meta where it's, hey, we're straying away from farm animals on generative collections. We're going more towards these humanoid figures. So this is straight up humans, right? Like this is a human model. Utes has a humanistic feature to it, right? It's they're like apes mixed with Yeti mixed with human, basically. I would say that's pretty much the hybrid of what Utes is trying to go for. But we also see Jacan too. I know Joe has to leave here soon, so I'm not sure if he's trying to head out here right now. But
No,
Joe,
sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good, bro. As far as Vandals, what do you think about the art rework, Joe?
Yeah, I'm bullish on them. Man, are you guys getting feedback again? Hold on.
No, I think I'm good. Do you have any feedback? Okay, cool. I can't hear it, so you guys let me know. But I know the chat was saying that there was an echo.
Yeah, it's weird. It's coming in and out sometimes. Hello. All right, there we go. So I'm very bullish on the fact that they put it out first. To make sure everyone can get a game theory effect, right? They're going to see how the scripter environment reacts. I have some feedback here. Sorry, I'm serious. I won't keep talking.
You're good, bro.
Yeah,
seriously, if it is echoing, don't worry about it, Joe. I know you got to leave here soon anyways, so we will try next time for technical difficulties. But yeah, I appreciate you, man. Go have fun. Say hi to your friend. Go enjoy your time. We appreciate your time as always.
Man.
Yeah, we will go ahead and take it from here, Joe. But yeah, I'm not like over the moon about the art rework. I do think some of the traits are pretty cool. I think though that the play, and Joe brought it to our attention, is actually going to be Jacan. I wrote a thread about it yesterday that look, when you bring in one-on-one artists of this caliber into the art rework, which by the way, it's so funny that these are happening almost the same time because they came from the same artist. Vandals and Jacan had the same artist, were minted just around the same time, having art reworks just the same time. I'm wondering if it's the same collection. Like, is Soulberry's behind both of these collections? I don't know. No, I actually do know the fact that Jacan is ran by some Giga Chads. They're actually cool. So I did some deep diving from the community, which is strong. When I put out this article or this thread, I got a lot of people that ended up showing up for it and correcting me if I was wrong. But when I see art rework of this caliber, it's going to be sick. And we can kind of see a little bit of a sneak peek here, but this is more of the art rework that I think we're heading to, right? The one that's actually meta, the one that's actually going to stay, where you see more one-on-one quality art coming into these generative collections. And this is why I have taken my positions. I've been headfirst in the one-on-one scene because I think if you find that right artist, you can make a serious profit. Dorian, have you checked out the Jacan artwork at all? I mean, they haven't given us too much, but from what I see, a lot of detail. Oh,
there we go. Yeah, man. So I read it and it was solid. But beyond near, I haven't seen much other. But that one sneak there gives me Hunter Prolo vibe, so it's already a good check your book.
Yeah, man. Oh, dude, that would be amazing. I'm trying to see if I can find more. Yeah, we can see more. It is just like kind of the neck chest area that we get to see. And we already see Joe over here saying it's fire. I agree. I mean, if this is the kind of level of artwork that we're getting where we see good cross hatching and shading and stuff like this, this is the art that's banging right now. Can you guys they're still getting an echo.
Right?
1 minute. They're still getting an echo. You guys hear it still? I think
Let me try bouncing and coming back in.
Okay. Well, guys, I'm sorry for these technical difficulties. It may have been Dorian this whole time. Who knows? But nonetheless, yeah, so it is Dorian. I might have to continue the show by myself. That's unfortunate. So I did make a thread here real quick. I'm going to go ahead and bring it up. But you guys know I've been big into the one-on-one space. By the way, I made this thread as well for anybody looking to get in. This is something that I consider what I've learned over the past couple of months being in the one-on-one space as to stuff that has done really well for me. Do you guys hear an echo still before I let Dorian on so we can control some variables? But in the meantime, I did write this thread here on Jacan. Is right down. Where did I put it? It's down here. There we go. So I have this thread on Jacon Studios on the artist behind the rework over here. Only on Dorian. Okay, cool. So we're going to bring Dorian up. If it echoes again, just let us know so we can kind of fix it, and we'll work on technical difficulties on our side. Dorian, I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Cool. Well, you will see chat. Please let us know if there's an echo, and we can kind of go ahead and fix it from our end on the next episode. But yeah, I wrote this thread on why I'm bullish on Jacon's artwork rework. This is high quality. They brought in really good one-on-one art. Ginraf is incredible. On top of that, they have a notable one-on-one artist from Tezos. He does most of his work from Tezos, but you can see just the level of stuff. This is like John Lay quality, in my opinion. Just very similar. He uses topographic kind of designs to add textures to his work. For me, it's incredibly bullish. And if we get this level of work on the generative collection, this is going to bang. And right now, if you're comparing Vandals versus Jacon, where Jacon's about 4 SOL right now, and Vandals is hovering between 10 and 11, this has room to grow, right? So that's all right, Curve. No worries. But this is one of the things that, believe me, guys, I'm telling you right now, one-on-one art is continuing to grow. We're seeing exchange.art do 10K in SOL volume over the past 7 days. That if you are positioning yourself and if you have a little bit of one-on-one art that you just vibe with, it's going to go a long way. I think there's some serious alpha there. And as we continue to see exchange art and form function grow in market dominance, we're going to see a lot of good work pop up with some good alpha. Dorian, have you explored the one-on-one art world yet? I know we kind of got into a little war on Proteon's spot. But besides that, have you scoped anything out? And is anything popping out to you right now?
Yeah, man. Other than Proteon, I'm looking out for one-on-ones, and I'm also looking at hoodlums. They're pretty legit, man. They're sick. They're going to be like 50 one-on-one collection that are starting to auction off today.
Yeah,
I'm not too sure if he's seen.
Oh, I got it. I know who.
You already know.
Yep, I know who's sending it. So, Hoodlums is actually by Hyblinks. She is fantastic. Her work is unreal. And I'm gonna go ahead. We'll pop open this tab because it's way easier. But yeah, this is gonna be a 50 collection of one-on-one art. So I've said in that thread that I also have pinned to the top of my Twitter profile that this is the kind of stuff I look for. Right, this is the alpha. Is these smaller collections. And we've seen it time and time again recently. We see it with Laura L's Lurker series, which, holy crap, that thing took off. There was lore behind it. There was audio. There's an audio book. You can literally listen to the lore behind the Lurkers. So if you go to the lurkers.nft.com or something like that, she has it posted in the Lurkers profile. You can actually hear the lore behind it. It's high quality work. I wish I could afford one or knew about it before. It actually took off right as I was getting into the one-on-one space, but they started going for like 25 SOL, and now they're going for like 375 plus. So
I knew about Lurkers when they were like 3 to 4 SOL. I knew about when the auctions were starting to happen.
It's sad not getting into that, knowing where they were going, but we saw it in the quality of work, and it's one of those things that, like, look, the thing I love about one-on-one is that you can't get rugged. You got that piece of art, and if it is something that resonates with people, you have an active Twitter from the artist itself. They're connected within the community. You see high quality artists bidding on their work. So like Proteon got bought out by Hyblinks, who actually is going to be making the Hoodlum series. This is good. We like seeing all that synergy come in. I think that's where the alpha lies on these collections. So when you actually have a thematic collection, this is going to be what really moves the needle forward, bridges the gap between the generative collections we see. And there's going to be a lot more synergy within the space. It's not going to be completely separate realms anymore. And we're already starting to see those walls being torn down. So I would agree, dude, this is going to go for this whole series, probably going to go, way over my price range on what I want to spend on one piece. But it's, dude, worth every penny. Hyblinks is incredible. And this is the kind of art that you want to see in a PFP. So
I'm like torn between trying to pick one of these up and save my liquidity for you. I just don't know.
Yeah, man. I think that's my biggest problem right now with one-on-one is, dude, I've been putting a lot of liquidity into one-on-one, and I know it's going to pay off But I'm also like, dude, if I had a hard time letting go of any artwork that I got in the generative space, it's going to be so hard for me to separate any sort of sentimental value, which is why I have a high time horizon on it. I can enjoy it for months and months at a time. And if I need some liquidity, hopefully by then, I mean, dude, we've seen some of these pieces take off in a month or two, some of these artists. So this is why I think the real money is made. Not only that, but dude, having that direct connection with artists is something that you cannot fathom. Dorian, it says that you're still echoing. So we still got it from H, but yeah, we will try to figure this out, guys. I am so sorry about this. It's been technical difficulty central, and I apologize. Nonetheless, we still got a show to go over. So let's go through Degen Poet. So if you guys missed it, Degen Poet was the one who did, I mean, he did a ton of poems and work before. Then he came out with the Type Punks, and now he has a Pokemon collection, which is within the Type Charts collection itself. If we look down here, you can see these have done really well. 0.69 to mint if you were lucky enough to get so. Exchange.art needs to work on some sort of botting preventative measure, or else they're going to lose market share to somebody else who comes in, because it does kill the vibe. Look, not being able to mint some of these that you wait so long for is devastating, and seeing it go to botters who immediately list them on secondary is brutal. Nonetheless, this is a 0.69 Sol mint, now sitting at 4.36 for the Bulbasaur, as well as I think it was about 3 for the Charmander. We're at 5 now. And then for Squirtle, we're at 8.5. So personally speaking, Squirtle's my favorite of the collection, even though I'm a Charmander lover at heart. This is going to absolutely be the theme moving forward. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was, as I was typing it out in the show notes, trademark infringement, is that going to be even a thing? Degen Poet came out and said himself, he's like, dude, I don't care. Like, do you really think they're going to take the time to go over any of this? If you guys do see that he is making a Pikachu, and this will be airdropped to one person who holds all 3 of the collection itself. But we're going to go to Degen Poet himself, and we're going to say one of the people who responded with these claims is Teddy from the Cyber Samurai community. So Teddy was like, dude, I'm just saying, you're asking for it with copyright infringement. And Degen Poet was basically like, dude, one of the best things that could happen to me is a legal battle with the Pokemon company. He's like, that would bring so much attention to the art, and I'd do that for you guys. So it would be it's really interesting to see. I personally don't think the Pokemon company in itself has so many bigger fish to fry that what are they going to do with a one-on-one artist, right? On Solana of all things. Like, maybe if you're Ethereum, but we're poor over here on Solana, right? So they're like, oh yeah, we'll slap them down while they're down bad. But the stuff's popping off, man. This was a very for some of these were 10x, in this market. It's good to have those wins. Dorian, were you able to pick up any of the Pokemon from Degen Poet?
I've been so busy, man, that I haven't been able to, man. But I've been seeing you and Goose Trust have go crazy on them.
Yeah. We Joe actually fried on them. He was able to mint the Bulbasaur, which I fell asleep right before it minted, which I'm awesome. Upset about. I wasn't able to get Squirtle, but I was able to get Charmander. I did pick up off secondary before he announced, hey, 1, I'm sweeping. 2, the people who have all 3 are going to have a chance to get the Pikachu, which we can see he's been working hard on. Has about 17 copies of it. It's going to be really exciting. I again love these thematic one-on-ones that we're seeing over here. I think it's really good, and I think it's going to be kind of the meta moving forward in the one-on-one space. I do love seeing a theme behind all the work, people who stick to their art and know their style and just absolutely knock it out of the park is stuff I look for, right? So with all that said, I want to highlight one artist. I want to start doing this more often. I did make a tweet about them themselves, but it's Low Fronts, and which is actually run by 2 people. So it's one, the artist, so Eto. Eto does the art himself. You can see him constructing the Low Fronts over here. It's a collection of 25 lo-fi kind of storefronts mixed with music. And the music is curated by Soulboy. I am Soulboy on Twitter. When it comes to Soulboy, this is actually the guy I want to focus on and why I'm actually incredibly bullish on them. They started out about 5 Soul for their first one. They're through 20 now. So there's going to be, I think it's actually 30, not 25. 25 they did mint. It is a Degen Ape Academy themed one. So if you guys are seeing it, be on the lookout for it. But I think there's going to be 21 through 24 first. We did get a little preview on it. One of the things I love about this is that his day job is for DistroKid. If you guys don't know who DistroKid is or the platform itself, it actually helps a lot of these artists go ahead and upload all their work to many of the major platforms. So talking about Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, anything in between, Apple Music, of course. This is incredibly bullish for me. I want to support people that know how to actually work distribution in the music space and can bring that to Web3. If you're buying a piece right now, which I'm working up the liquidity for, they keep going for more and more. We can go ahead and check out one of their works. But if you get in on this, this is where I think, one, we're already seeing steady growth in their auctions going off and off. I did add audio onto this tab now, so you should be able to hear it. This is sick. So I'm big on animated experiences right now with music, everything like that. Can you hear it, Dorian?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Shit slaps. I'm so big on it. Dude, I want this first one so bad. This is my favorite of the collection. Evokes a lot of emotion. Dude, it's two people, so the artist and the music producer himself have an experience in distributing some of this stuff. This is a collection that I'm going to find one of these owners and I'm going to make them an offer they can't refuse and hopefully pick one of these up, because this for me is worth it. This is where I see these going easily over 100. As we can see right here, we see steady growth. This one sold for 15.95. Their most recent one, also a banger, sold for 25 SOL. So I love seeing steady growth. I would always encourage people, if you're in the one-on-one space, to go ahead and see the growth in their auctions. Did it go 1 SOL and now we're at 5 SOL? You know, was it at 5 SOL? Did it go up to 25 SOL? You want to see steady growth in some of these collections. This work is awesome. I'm not going to sit here for the whole one again, but I just want the drop. Love when the chamber fills up, dude. It's sweet. So, moral of the story is, this is my artist highlight of the day. If you see any of them go on auction again, this is definitely one to watch out for. So, with all that said, Dorian, we lost Joe, but do you have any alpha? Is there anything you're looking at right now that you should share with the community?
Man, I just dropped my alpha for you on the one-on-one space regarding hoodlums, man. That is just top tier, man. It's I think regardless, I can foresee those auctions going above 40 to 50 SOL. But if you can pick up one of those, I think it'll be great in the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, obviously I shared on Jacon. I am bullish on them still. Mm-hmm. I think, you know, if they execute their art rework properly, which of the previews we're seeing is huge, dude. I think it's going to be an absolute banger. If we see that, then that's good. That's what I like to see. So I'm hoping we get the same sort of effect with this art rework. And, you know, I would say that this is the status quo moving forward. We get those one-on-ones, and that should be good. It says you're still echoing here. I'm not sure. You know, I'm not sure. One of the things I'm worried about with the echo is when I share a tab with volume, I wonder if it's picking up the volume from you on my other tabs, but we'll see.
Yeah, we can discuss that later on.
Yeah, we'll try to work it out later, guys. I am so sorry we had these technical difficulties, but I think that's about it for the show. Yeah, they're saying he's good now. So yeah, I'm actually thinking that if I share a tab with audio, that it might be interfering with, you know, it might be picking up your guys' residual stuff. So maybe it's on my end. Maybe I can't share anything with music anymore, which is really sad because some of these one-on-one pieces deserve the audio that comes with them. But
I think it might have been on my end, but like I said, we can cover this after stream.
That's okay. So yeah, I think that's about it. Keep diving into one-on-one. Seriously, I think this is the biggest alpha that you can have, especially in this long bear market where we continue to uplift these awesome creators. There's so many good ones too. I mean, we mentioned some of the more high profile ones. Low Fronts is definitely picking up steam. High Blinks obviously is like the queen right now with Laura L as far as female artists in the space. And then we also have DGen Poet, who's been killing it with these editions lately. He was kind of polling and saying, like, what's a good collection size? 50 editions seems like the sweet spot for him. So I think moving forward, we're going to see a lot more of these 50 edition collections. And I'm excited. I love DGen Poet's style with the typewriter and integrating like cool data points, like with the Charmander one. You see the search history of Charmander on Google over the past 5 years. Was really cool. It's a really cool tidbits, like attention to detail that you love to see in artwork. Other than that, I think we're about done with the show. Dorian, do you have any closing remarks that you want to share with the audience?
Just wanted to continue on with the point that you were saying about just having like 50 in a one-on-one collection or whatnot. Just curating such a small group of people who really love your art, man. That's only bullish for your floor price, man. It's like we all look for small collections with like diamond hands for a reason, and like that's a lot of what the one-on-one space is. So it's like, man, I'm bullish on it just as much as you.
Yeah, and I think we say community is one of the biggest drivers in generative collection. So if you start forming that small diamond-handed community that just really appreciates the artwork and can resonate with it, you already have a connection with other people, right? Like I know High Blinks because she bought the other, she bought Pandora of Proteon's collection. We're one of the first two that collected any of the portraits of the Aftermath. So it's really cool already having that connection with her as well as Proteon themselves. It always helps. If you buy one-on-one art, please connect with the artists. Seriously, let them know how much the art means to you and like how cool it is to be able to bid on it. And even if you can't bid on it, let them know how much you appreciate the work. Seriously, it goes a long way. Some of these people that I message, I'm like, dude, this art is sick. Makes their whole day, dude. It's so much fun to see. So that about does it for me. Hopefully the market continues with this volume. We start seeing 80K as the new norm again, and we go back up to six figures. We'll see. I think it's just a byproduct of ABC minting, and we'll see it start creeping back down towards that 40K mark. But until then, be safe out there, guys. We appreciate you guys as always for tuning into this episode, and we'll see you on Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern, as always.
See you next episode, everybody.